a great piece on PBS about Gary, Indiana, about the rise and collapse of Gary, Indiana. It's absolutely fascinating.
I want to see. I heard about that. I want to see that.
Yeah, it's really good. It was a vibrant community. There's actually a Frank Lloyd Wright house there that has been in disrepair for a long time, but a community that was completely abandoned by because of manufacturing and then this stop again, start again, possible airport for decades. Remember?
Yes.
I mean.
Right.
And then all they could do is put in like casinos, which doesn't help anybody that lives nearby.
Yeah. I read an article about the rise and fall of Gary.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah,
it's wild. Well, we are very excited. Not only did Judge Susan Crawford become the next Supreme Court, that's a 10-year seat, by the way.
Wow.
So it's 10 years she'll be on that Supreme Court. All the liberals on the court, it's I believe all of them are women.
Good.
So she was introducing them last night. It was funny because Steve and I were watching her speech. Oh, we can listen to her speech. It's here
great.
we come. Should we listen to her speech?
Yeah. Let's
listen to her speech. I'm very excited about this. Here is now newly elected Justice of the Supreme Court, Susan Crawford.
I've spent my whole career fighting for Wisconsin as a prosecutor, a lawyer, a judge, and now a soon-to-be justice on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Standing up for our fundamental rights and freedoms, protecting Wisconsin families and communities. My promise to Wisconsin is clear. I will be a fair, impartial, and common sense justice on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Today, Wisconsinites fended off an unprecedented attack on our democracy. That's right. Our fair elections and our Supreme Court. And Wisconsins stood up and said loudly that justice does not have a price. Our courts are not for sale.
That is newly elected Justice Susan Crawford for the Wisconsin Supreme Court. And I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, that's great.
And Jill Underly is now also won her race for the superintendent of the schools. They have diverted a lot of money away from public schools, sent it all to charter schools, including like these pop-up schools and strip malls that close after 6 months because they get all the money. It's a grift. It's just a way to put their hand out, take all the money, have conservatives and trad wives say, I don't want to send my kids to public schools. They send everybody there, meaning,
Right, black people, Latinos.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We want our kids to learn about Jesus because apparently you don't want that. You can do at home. That's yours. That's That having the Bible in the schools, and that's happening around the country. Where some places where they're trying to buy the Trump Bible, they want to have the. That's a lot.
That
happening.
comes with the Lee Greenwood forward. Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting. Congratulations to our friends in Wisconsin, to all the organizations, all the volunteers. I know Adam tried calling me. I have to call Adam later tonight. Adam Selzer and I have been going up almost every Saturday. I've been going up since January, door knocking, phone banking, just trying to get but that's all over the state. I mean, how much do you think? Would you think that people saw that Musk came in, put on a big wedge of cheese on his head, maybe weren't even going to vote at all,
and demonstrated his no-inch vertical?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I think people actually came out because
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Whereas then, I don't think I'm gonna vote. Wait a minute, that guy, I'm gonna go absolutely vote for Susan Crawford.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He mobilized people against his own candidate.
And Terry Ryder was just talking about this with Nell Menno about how Musk makes himself the brand, right? Like he didn't create Teslas,
anything,
right? Anything.
He's the Thomas Edison.
Yeah.
He's I was gonna say the more racist Thomas Edison, but I don't even want to make that assumption.
Which is interesting because of Tesla, the scientist who never got credit for the things that he did.
Right, exactly. Who was not ripped off by Thomas Edison, or he was stifled by Thomas Edison.
I think that. Yeah. Isn't it interesting that that's the name of the car?
It is. Oh, Patty.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Tied it all up in a bow.
Not me. I've seen images, and I have friends. I don't know if you know Mark DiCarlo. Mark and Yenny are big.
I know who he is.
Yeah, Mark talks a lot about Tesla and vibrations and electricity and how things would have been different if he had been more successful. So it's weird that it's Musk that is the face of Tesla.
Right. Somebody who was the antithesis of Tesla, who
Yes.
has no vision.
Yes.
Tesla was a profound visionary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nikola Tesla, when I was on Totally Biased, we worked at 34th and 8th at the Hotel New Yorker. Our offices were in there, and our studio was in there, and that's where Nikola Tesla lived during the last years of his life.
Really?
Yeah.
How wild is that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Man.
Yeah. The
It's a
test.
little test energy.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is that Musk makes himself the brand, right? He made himself the face of Tesla. He's
Right.
made himself the face of all these other things. Now he's made himself the face of the Republican Party.
Right.
That's the brand, and they're stuck with. I mean, because there are so many conservatives in my feed that like worship him. They're so excited by what he's doing, and I don't know if I can get this. There's a speech, like a few minutes that he was talking in Wisconsin after he took the cheddar wedge. By the way, I call him the $1 billion cheese turd.
Yeah.
Cheese curds.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
He's a big cheese turd.
Yeah, I dig where you're coming from.
Just saying. You know how it happens if you have to explain it.
Yeah. You know what I always call them? Well, I've said it on your show. Well, we call them because they are POS's Nazis. I call them the Third Reich.
I do like that. Yeah, I do
Yeah.
like the Third Reich.
Yeah.
He was asked when they were going to get their Doge checks. And he spends about 2 minutes bumbling through an answer of that basically the savings are not to scale yet. I love that he said that. The savings that they have created within Doge and these different agencies are not to scale yet. And that once all the services and goods are delivered, right? So he's in a corporate, like he's trying to give them this like double talk of a corporate leader on a board or whatever. Once the goods and services are run more efficiently, you know, and there's a savings cost, you'll feel it in less inflation. You're not necessarily that you're going, like all these people who were excited about getting their Doge checks and all these things. And we're not in the business basically of writing you a check. That's not how it's going to work. Even though like about a month ago, all these Doge bags made people convinced that they were going to have a check coming.
Right. So that was his long walk up the driveway to say that you've been had.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for the lining my
vote.
pockets. Yeah.
Yeah. And the money.
Yeah, and the money.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It is. Yeah. I'm in a wild mood. I'm trying to decide. I don't know.
Good.
I'm in a wild mood. So we're very excited about that. In order to continue our celebration and our excitement, I want to thank our sponsors of the show, Source Solar. Go to source.solar and maybe make an appointment. It might be time for you to get solar panels on your house or your business and join over 100,000 happy customers in the Chicagoland area. Go to source.solar. They will be joining us. Peter and Warren will be back in studio with me on April 14th. We'll have another conversation. So make sure you've got that. You can check out the last one we did. It's available wherever you listen to your podcast or heartlandsignal.com because we have that as a standalone interview. We also want to thank our friend, of course, Kirk Bankstead. Very excited. He is going to be selling a lot of his Lady Justice brews. He's got a Lady Justice beer.
Okay.
So that will be, of course, available online. We'll be at the Madison Tap Room on April 15th, broadcasting live from Madison, Wisconsin. We want to thank our friends at Kids Above All. Go to kidsaboveall.org and support their mission to help children live happy, healthy, safe lives. That's the organization you and I did it. You came like at the last minute last year.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so that's a great organization that we're proud to support. And our show is coming up again in June. I don't know when yet, and I don't know where, but I should know soon. I have Dwayne's looking at me like, when are you going to tell folks whatever your news is and how to explain it to us? I want to catch folks up in a little bit. Steve and I, my husband and I, have two beautiful boys, Griffin and Declan, and we kind of got an update today about Declan's health, and I want to talk about that a little bit later. So let's take a break here and continue our conversation on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150 AM Alternative Talk in Seattle, Washington. Thank you for joining us. More in a moment when we come back with Dwayne Kennedy in studio with me as well. Let's do this. Boom.
The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
I'm thankful, really, that anyone could feel they could call into this show and share their real despair and anger. I am. I can only hope that we can get past the disappointment and the anger with each other to once again focus on these longer term and very large fights.
The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. In 1939, when Europe was on the brink of war, a single mother was bringing Jewish refugees into her home, teaching her two daughters to help others when you can and fight injustice. Freddie and Charles Ulferstegen took their mother's advice to heart, joining their mother in distributing anti-Nazi newspapers and pamphlets for the resistance, a dangerous act when the Nazis invaded the Netherlands. But with the girls being young, Freddie being only 14 and Charles being only 16, Nazis were less likely to suspect them to be working for the resistance. This is most likely why in 1941, a commander of the Haarlem resistance group to ask their mother if he could recruit Freddie and Truss. Their mother and the girls agreed and were given basic training, and within 2 years the girls were bringing Jewish refugees into hiding, working in emergency hospitals, sabotaging bridges and railway lines, and killing Nazis, sometimes ambushing them from their bicycles. Despite the Netherlands not wanting to acknowledge the girls' achievements, their contributions to helping the Allied powers will never be unnoticed.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or
and
Pete.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
All right, let's hit it.
At 773-763-9278.
I got a lot to say.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Patti Vasquez, and so thrilled that you're joining us to Drive It Home. Joining me in studio is comedian, Emmy Award-winning Dwayne Kennedy. He is going to be at the Den Theater here in Chicago on April 25th, along with Kamal Bell. And Kamal will be there the whole weekend, the 25th and 26th. What's the other show you're doing on the 26th? Do you have more info?
I'm doing my nephew Darius Kennedy's show at Reed's. I think it's on Belmont. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's on Belmont.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll meet with you after that show. I have a show for Envision. There's a fundraiser coming up on April 26th that I will be. I'm hosting that one, and it's featuring Jaime De Leon, Ralph Roberts, mm-hmm. and Jeannie Dugan. That's a good.
Oh, I know all of them.
I love booking shows.
Yeah.
I really do. I think that when a certain club manager stepped down, I really wanted to be just the booker. I didn't want to.
Really?
I offered myself at Zany's. I said I would love to book these shows.
Oh, that would have been fantastic, Patty.
I know.
I haven't really worked there since.
Me neither.
I've worked there like 2 or 3 times, but it's one-nighters.
Yeah, exactly. And they offered me a feature spot, which is fine. And I love doing comedy, so and I think I've done a couple other like specialty shows, and all the metrics and the dynamics of comedy clubs have changed because of social media. They don't book us the way they used to, and that's for us to evolve. And it's their toy.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's just the nature of business.
You can't take it personally.
No,
although sometimes I feel. Let's get the Jim in Chicago. Jim, you're on with me and Dwayne Kennedy. What's on your mind, my friend?
First of all, Patty, I want to congratulate all the people that put in the physical exertion to go up to Wisconsin. Your listeners, a few of your listeners, and got the resounding victory, crucial victory in our part. But here's the but. So MAGA, who's used as stagecraft as a weapon, comes out with these ridiculous tariff things today just to mitigate this loss in Wisconsin. Anything gets out of this guy's skin, but that's not the point. The point is he's used stagecraft to get to where he's at. Apparently a terrible, in my opinion. If I had a couple of tomatoes in the front row, I'd be tossing it at him. But he's used that to get to where he's at. He knows that if he screams about tariffs, he'll get worldwide attention. and certainly he did. And it takes the attention off the because they have to rethink this idea that Elon Musk is going to dictate policy in the United States of America. He's got to rethink that policy now because it's obviously that's not going to work. So he has to go. I mean, he's been advised by Steve Miller and you name it. The band of you choose your adjective, but he's told go out there talk about terrorists. That's his go-to now. Even though he's slipping every minute of every day, he's hitting almost 80 years old. And he's dying to get on Mount Rushmore. Bergman wants to put him on Rushmore. But I don't think the American people, the 81 million people who voted for Biden, want him on Mount Rushmore. I certainly don't want him on Mount Rushmore, but he wants to be there. And he also put his portrait in the Kennedy Center, took down John Kennedy's portrait and put his up with his family. And
they're going to change it to the Trump Center, aren't they?
What?
No, I'll bet you they're going to change it. It wasn't until Jim just said that I realized they're going to change it to the Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. They are going to do that.
Yeah. And who's going to do the first thing? Steve Miller probably do the first play. It'll be springtime for Hitler in Germany. Remember from the producers?
Yeah, but not as a satire.
Right.
Well, I don't know. Is it really a satire? We don't know.
It'll be as an instructional manual.
Listen, I appreciate your effort, Patty, and thanks, Dwayne, for taking the call. And thank you, Patty. Take care. Good night.
Thanks, Jim.
You.
Have a good night.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's Jim.
Jim. Here's another volunteer to thank. Debbie in Old Town had been going up door knocking as well.
Man.
Debbie, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, Patty, we won!
We won!
We won! You are the best. You encouraged us to do it. I did it, and I said, Patty said, get out there, and you gave us a route to go by, and we did it. We did it, Patty.
I know. We all did it. We all did it. Amazing. Yeah, I'm so thrilled. I messaged Anita and Ellen Holly from Wisconsin right away. Congratulations to Kelly out of Racine. All of our friends. Christy in Kenosha. Yeah, it's incredible. I'm so excited. And congratulations to you. All that hard work and all that driving and all those brats.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, right? We went to the brat shop.
Yep. I went every time. My favorite waitress in the world, her name is Katie. So if you go to the brat stop, although everybody shouldn't ask for Katie's section because then they're going to start to get annoyed.
Right.
But she, when your waitress knows what your drink is and you're not even from the state at all.
You must be a regular.
She's like bourbon old fashioned.
Yes, and keep them coming.
And Patty, speaking of Booker, go Cory Booker.
Yeah.
We did it with him, too. I mean, he was amazing. Mm-hmm. So much for that debacle at the Hideout the other night. I was so down yesterday, and I was so encouraged last night. Life just takes you in so many directions. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
I agree.
But hey, there was one guy who we had cards for that we were handing out too, and it was a guy named Brom, I think it was. He was for the school board. Did he win?
I will find out from Kelly and find out if you were in Racine or Kenosha. I can't remember.
I was in Kenosha. I was in Kenosha. I've got family there, so for me, I go there and then we go to eat afterward. It's a wonderful situation. So yeah.
I'm looking it up right now. It might take me a moment to make sure I get the right names here, but I'm not seeing that name. Rebecca Stevens and Carl Bryan were victorious. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find Andreas Malka. I can't pronounce that name. Sorry, Andreas. Valerie.
I think it was Brom.
I'll take a look at the other. I'll take a look at some of the races and see if I can find the results.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Yes. Congratulations.
Well, thank you so much for all your work, Patty, and all your encouragement. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Debbie. I appreciate you.
You're the light.
Congratulations.
You're a light that lifts us all up.
Thank you so much. That's a lot of pressure, but I will continue to do my best.
No.
Thank you.
It's true. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. I'll see you soon. Take care.
You can use that as your next campaign slogan. Patti Vasquez, the light that lifts us all up.
Okay.
What's she running for? She's running for Jesus.
All right, I've got a minute and a half here, Dave. You know I have a heart out now. What's on your mind? You're on with me and Dwayne Kennedy.
All right, I'll just go real quick with it. First, Dwayne, you said, where is hell at? Actually, there's a town in Michigan by that name. And
All right. Hell, Michigan.
Today,
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah. Today is World Autism Awareness Day, too, by the way.
Okay.
And I was going to mention about these guys, these Americans fighting in Ukraine. We've had hundreds going over there, but we've already, 50 have been killed.
Oh, man.
And 40 of whom were former U.S. service members. And I know you got time. One of the vets, he gotten hate mail and death threats from Russians and self-described MAGA Republicans in the U.S. since he began publicly criticizing Trump's approach to ending the war in Ukraine. And some are saying he's a traitor and that if he ever comes back to the States, they'll kill him, telling him they hope he'll die there.
Yikes.
And stuff. Anyway,
That's a lot of stuff. Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you for filling us in on that. Let's take a break here. When we come back, we're going to talk to an educator after this break. Lisa Quandt is going to join us in just a moment. Lisa has been a teacher at Belleville West High School for 33 years. More in a moment on WCPT 20 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150 AM in Seattle, Washington.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Scattered showers and thunderstorms tonight, mainly before midnight. Otherwise cloudy, a low of 47 degrees, and winds out of the southwest gusting as high as 40 miles an hour. Thursday, lots of sun and a high of 58, with west winds at 15 to 30. Friday, showers possible with a high temperature of 49. Saturday, rain likely and a high temperature of 44. Sunday, showers with highs again in the mid-40s. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 70.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Choose Views with Richard Chew.
It's taking action that matters. Whether it was 600, 6,000, or 600,000 people out, there's the impact of the voice being heard, but it's also we feeling like I'm not just sitting watching this train go by, this horror show go by, and not doing something. And then when you find that there are more like-minded people than you realize, you understand that there are more of us than there are of them.
Richard Chew, weekday mornings at 6 on WCPT 820.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
DuPage County continues to get out the vote and elect progressive candidates, so it's no wonder that there are now several local retailers carrying progressive beer from Minocqua Brewing Company. Be sure to grab yours from Famous Liquors in Lombard, Armanetti Beverage Mart in Roselle, Doty Liquors in Elmhurst, and Bobby's Liquor Warehouse in Carroll Stream, conveniently located next door to the DuPage County Democratic Office. A full list of Illinois locations that offer the Resistance lineup of beers posted at the top of the Patti Vasquez Show Facebook page, as well as at MinocquaBrewingCompany.com.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. Joining me in studio is Emmy Award-winning comedian Dwayne Kennedy. He and Kamau Bell are touring on April 18th. They'll be at the Count Basie Center for Performing Arts in New Jersey. And on April 25th, they will be at the Den Theater here in Chicago. And that next night, Kamau Bell will also be there. And Dwayne will be at the Reed's on Belmont for Darius Kennedy's show.
Yeah.
I'm going to get all this. I should write things down.
Thanks, but it doesn't seem like you have to.
I do at some point. Because it takes me 6 tries to get something. 8, maybe it's 8 tries. Let's make sure I get this right on the first try. We have a guest on the phone. Lisa Quandt has been teaching at Belleville West High School for 33 years and had so many hours subbing in an emotional learning class. She was asked to teach that class as well. And we're talking about we're talking to Lisa about education, about teachers. I want to thank Lisa Quandt for joining us on the line. Hey, Lisa, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I want to introduce you to Dwayne Kennedy. And first of all, I know that you've taught in Belleville, but where did you grow up? Or near Belleville? You teach at Belleville, but where did you grow up, my friend?
I grew up in Belleville, too. I actually went to Belleville East, the other side of town, and then went to Eastern Illinois University for college. So,
okay.
Yeah, so always been here. Yeah.
Excellent. So what did you know from a young age that you wanted to be a teacher?
Absolutely. My mom was a teacher. I never, ever wanted to do anything else. My sister's a teacher. My niece is a teacher. So big teacher family. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember when I was younger, I thought about it. You have to have so much passion for what you do to be. I remember the first time I dropped my older son off at preschool, and like all these kids came running up. I'm like, oh my God, I can't. How do people do this every day? Because
yeah, listen, I couldn't do those younger kids.
And I don't think I could do any, because it's like anything else when you have young people involved, right? There's a lot of responsibility to everybody in the class, and then you also have parents. And then you have your colleagues. I mean, there's a lot to manage as a teacher, isn't there?
There is, and like you're their parents for 8 hours of the day, no matter what their age. So, I mean, I think that's kind of the fun part, is you get to help mold them into who they're going to be, and that's kind of fun. Like, I only have 1 more year left, and I'm not ready to go at all. So, you just have to love it. Yeah.
So I have to ask. So you were invited by Representative Nikki Budzinski, who is part of the Central Illinois District representative Congresswoman, to join her, right?
Yes, I was. Yes,
at the inauguration. Is this right?
I was at the State of the Union.
State of the Union address, right?
Yes.
Pardon me. There's so many things happening too fast. So,
trust me, I know.
So I have a son who has had an IEP since he was 3 years old. I mean, he was in early intervention. For folks who don't know, children with who have developmental delays and qualify for early intervention to help them get ready for school, and then have an IEP, which is an individualized education plan. I have been in this system for a long time, and one of the reasons that Declan has access to the sorts of services and supports that he does is because of the Department of Education. So tell folks a little bit about these threats and what these cuts are going to mean. And because this is not to save money. This is really to dismantle and destabilize, isn't it?
Yeah, basically what I feel, and so does everybody that is concerned about this. Like at the Capitol, we discussed this probably for 16 hours. It would take away IDEA, which is our disabilities, Individuals with Disabilities Act. And the problem with that is you're trying to privatize schools, which they don't have to take kids with special needs. So that leaves these kids that are poverty-stricken or special education kids with nowhere to go, to be honest. The other thing about that is, if you do get into a private school, they don't have to be certified to teach your kid. They can just be there. So Title I is huge right now, students with IEPs. I mean, the percentage of kids with 504s, that's not just your special ed kids. That is like your honors kids that might need more time or are anxious, whatever. It's really going to hurt them, because now you're doing away with mental health, with speech and language, all of our people who are going to help them in the ways they need to. So our families are panicking, as they should be. That is, everybody should be able to learn fairly and equitably, and it's going to take away from that. This is basically survival of the fittest is what we're getting to here, because not everybody can afford, private school. I certainly could have and couldn't have with my kids, and then to send them to college too. No way. No. It's destructive. It's reckless. It's just really sad. It breaks my heart for our kids.
And it just never even dawned on me, having been in the system. And look, it is already a very, I don't know how to put this, onerous. There's a lot of pressure on parents. I talk to a lot of organizations, in particular educators, about what it's like to be the parent in the IEP room, because some of these meetings, Dwayne, it could be an hour. We've been through this, like I said, now 17 times.
Wow.
It could be like an hour, but for some people, I don't know if you've experienced this, Lisa, that I've talked to some people who they've had to pause after 6 hours and be like, we'll come back to this tomorrow.
That is true. And there has been people who, it goes into another day. That's the thing that kind of bothers me too, is it's already complicated. Like if I say something like, there's so many terms, or if your kid does something and you have to go into a manifestation determination meeting, even our regular teachers are like, what the heck is that? You know, so the jargon is already hard enough, and you want to do what's best for your kid. And if you really don't even know that, that's why you have a team there to advocate for your child. Now that's frightening if you can't have somebody in there with you. You know, when we dismantle this, that's going to be a problem, because like you said, there might be a kid that has so many needs, and you need to make sure they have those accommodations. We're the voice for them.
Yep.
And I can't imagine. I really can't.
Yeah.
So
my skin like just hurts. The last IEP I had was actually pretty good, because it was the first one we ever did we did it through Zoom, and it was like because when you're in the room with everybody, it's so intense. We have a speech. Yeah, right. I mean, it's like, and then everyone's like, who has their screen open? It's all this like communication and like all this technical aspects to it. But at any rate, it's already so like parents like me are in a constant state of emergency from the moment our child is diagnosed. You know, in my instance, in our family's instance, from the moment my son was born. And then to do this is, and you know, it's funny, Lisa, I ran a few years ago, and I remember even conservatives were like, well, yeah, I don't think we should cut programs for kids with disabilities. And now it seems like, well, you know, it costs too much money. I mean, they're treating our kids like they're disposable. Is that the sense you're getting from parents in the community?
Yeah. And I think it's so funny because like here, and I don't know how it is up north, I'm sure it's the same, but I mean, it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. Like when people say it's not going to affect them, yeah, it is. It's going to affect everybody at some point. You're going to have a kid that has needs at some point in time. It's going to happen, whether it's they need extra time or they need speech and language or whatever, or anxiety is at an all-time. I mean, that is one of those things that you would write into an IEP or a 504 plan. So you might have the best and the brightest, but you might need that 504 plan. So it is going to affect you. And I think it's so detrimental. And I mean, it's frustrating to have somebody who doesn't, you know, speaking on behalf of all of our kids, that doesn't even know what IDEA is. That's super frustrating. What a lot of people also don't know is the people that are going after DEI, the I came from people that have, it stood for inclusiveness. So you're attacking the special needs community there too, which a lot of people don't understand. So that did come from, you know, our special needs people. So there's a lot of attacks, and I don't even think they know who they're attacking at this point.
No. Did you? I mean, I know that you saw this interview. There was an interview not long after Linda McMahon was appointed when she was approved to be the head of the Department of Education, and she was asked.
Linda McMahon.
I can't even.
Yeah, she didn't even know what these programs were. She didn't know what the acronyms meant. All acronyms. I added a syllable in there. The acronyms. Like she didn't even know. Like I think it's IDEA. She didn't even know what that.
No. No. What? So they show me that clip while we're on CNN, and I thought I was going to come through the screen. Like, I'm like, is this really happening? Like, she needs to get back in the ring. Like, this is not working for us. So, yeah, I was literally dumbfounded. What is our life right now?
You were dumbfounded. She was just dumb.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my God. Well, and here's what gets me is she's part of this Get Real and a Special Olympics, like a big donate. But I'm like, then why are you attacking the special needs kids? It makes no sense. That's so hypocritical.
It's performative.
So, yeah,
when they say that they always accuse liberals of being performative. That's performative. That's they're making themselves feel good. That's a tax write-off. Yeah. That's like, oh, look at the nice things that we do.
Right.
You know.
Right.
That's
yes, and I'm like, you're totally catering to these people who have money. Bottom line. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're not catering to the average kid or the poverty-stricken kid. That's definitely not fair and equitable at all. I don't care what they say.
Now, here's the thing about the Department of Education that other folks have been talking about as well. They're like, well, it's not even that much money. It is across the board. I think the average is like 13% of all school budgets, but that's the average. There are schools in Illinois that get 39% of their overall funding from the Department of Education.
Yeah, so that's the one thing that I'm hearing a lot from the other side is they're like, well, that's great. It's going back to the states. And I'm like, where do you think our money comes from? Like, that makes no sense. Like, a lot of the money does come from federal, and especially Title I. Like, they would be sunk. And that's where your speech and language, mental health. We have a family that they adopt a lot of special needs children. We have one that is in a wheelchair, one that is legally blind. I cannot imagine without like their accommodations and the things that we give them to help them with, there is no way that they could do this with these kids. No way. Just the wheelchair alone was ridiculous. So it's just not working. No way.
No, and the thing is, and this is hard to explain to folks too, we mentioned physical therapy, speech therapy. It still fell under the Department of Education in order to get kids in a place where they had supportive services. Now they're putting it in these programs into Health and Human Services, which they're also cutting. They're absolutely decimating those programs as well. So they're finding ways to scrape us off. What were you going to say?
It's going to be like just gone. I mean, that's the thing. And we hear every day, well, mental health matters. Mental health. Well, you're taking that away. So what are we supposed to do between somebody wanting to take medication away and then somebody wanting to take the services away, with social work? What are you going to do with all these people that have problems? That's going to be a bigger problem. So I don't understand that mode of thinking whatsoever.
I really am grateful for the work that you're doing, and I understand why Congresswoman Budzinski brought you to the state of the address to the Congress, to the address to Congress, and I want to see if we can check in with you again as things develop. If there's anything we can do to get the word out, so please, I would love to have you back, my friend. We've been talking to Lisa Quandt.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Do you have any sort of is there a journey that you're sharing on social media or any place you want folks to get more information about these things?
I probably should do that, but I've just been talking, we did CNN, and then tonight I'm going to talk to a Democratic women's group tonight. So it just kind of snowballed. But Nikki, we're very blessed to have her in the state. I can tell you that. Excellent. Because she has a special needs nephew. She's fighting for it, and she knows what's right. So I feel like we're really lucky here. So touch base anytime.
Absolutely,
yeah,
you too.
Keep fighting.
Please, yes, I'm here for you. Whatever you need, my friend.
Great. Thank you so much. You guys are great.
Thank you. You too. Have a good evening.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Excellent. Great work. Let me take a break here. We'll continue our conversation with comedian Dwayne Kennedy, who will be at the Den Theater on April 25th. More in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150 in Seattle, Washington.
This is Tony Moray. I'm an estate planning lawyer who drafts living trusts and wills. Since the election, I've been hearing from my clients, many of them fellow WCPT listeners, and we all wonder, how did this happen and what can we do? The how is, of course, very complicated. My thoughts as regard to what we can do is simple but important. We need to take extra care of those we love. Having an estate plan using either a living trust or will can provide comfort in uncertain times like these. When the progressive values we hold dear are under attack, I feel we must make sure that our personal lives are secure and then work out from there. I've been drafting estate plans for my clients for over 30 years, and I will use all of that experience to help you. Please call me at 847-996-0496. My website is moreylawoffice.com. That's Morey spelled M-O-R-E-E. Again, the phone is 847-996-0496. There is no cost or obligation for our initial discussion. I look forward to speaking with you.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. Oh no! Did Auntie Sherry hang up? Auntie Sherry, call back. Auntie Sherry hung up on. She did not want to wait through our conversation. She called to talk to you, I'm guessing. Auntie Sherry, please call back. 773-763-9278. Comedian Dwayne Kennedy will be at the Den Theater on April 25th. If you're in New Jersey, he'll be at Count Basie's Center for Performing Arts on April 18th with Kamau Bell. And Reed's on April 26th with Darius Kennedy. Any relation?
Perhaps.
Yeah. We have Roosevelt on the line. Hey, Roosevelt, you're on with me and Dwayne. Are you hydrating?
Very much so. Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew.
I don't know if that's. I don't think that's good for you. But okay, go ahead.
No, it's not. Especially me, because I got type 2 diabetes.
Oh man,
Roosevelt.
I think I remember you telling me that before.
Yeah, I did. I went to my doctor, and he said my A my number is 11. That's high, way high.
What's it supposed to be?
I think it's supposed to be 7.
Oh my goodness, Roosevelt.
But my neighbor in front, he beat me. He got 12 instead, and he's Patty's age. Actually, he's 53. So
he beat you, huh? Okay.
Oh boy.
I hope it's not a foot race.
No, man. Hey, you know what? The first person I thought of was you last night when I found out about Wisconsin. And you said you're working on a book, or you Chicago girl.
Yeah, it's on. Go ahead. Yes. Right. Sorry, it's on Substack, folks. Roosevelt's alluding to. I'm releasing portions of my chapters of the book Chicago Girl, a memoir about growing up here in Chicago. It's on Substack. If you follow the Patti Vasquez Show page, you can find a link there as well. Thank you. Go ahead.
It should be Chicago/Wisconsin girl, because you are always you're always going up there in Wisconsin. You're always volunteering, and I felt real good for you. I mean, it was a real good feeling, not only for you but for Wisconsin too. Congratulations, Wisconsin, all you people up there that voted and said no to the money, and this is just the beginning. I think we're on a roll, on getting our things in order. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say. I also want to. As much as you can thank me and the volunteers, I also personally want to thank my inside Patty, who is extremely petty, because I was energized by people being cruel and mean, stupid and nasty on my Facebook page when they call it. Every time I would get someone calling me a liberal whore, I would dedicate 25 doors in their name. So the goal was so they kept me going too. I'm not thanking them. I'm thanking the petty side of Patty. That's all.
Out of something bad, something good comes out of it. You're right.
That part.
It's a nice way of looking at things, and it's great. It's a motivation factor, and basically it's like poking the bear. So they poke you, you're the bear.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, it's a lot of things. It is knowing and learning a lot from Dan Schaefer from the recombobulation area about the importance of Wisconsin when it comes to our entire country. The history of labor in Wisconsin, what Scott Walker did to unions in Wisconsin, and my sister-in-law who lives in Madison and works in the education system. How they just trampled over their rights, over especially the pensions of teachers and public workers. And the other thing is that not only are they so crucial to I think the survival of our democracy and the possibility of clawing back all the things that are being destroyed, I think does hinge on Wisconsin. It's not just a fondness. I mean, I really did spend my summers. I spent 6 summers in East Troy, Wisconsin, where I learned how to lead, how to follow, right? To trust other people. I learned how to be independent, and I had more rights then as a 9 to 15-year-old girl than I do today at 53. Which is, so that, to me, I thought a lot about that.
And you know what, Patty? I think, they've been saying that this was a test for Elon Musk. And I believe, in my opinion, I don't know if anybody thought this way, but I believe that it was a test for Elon Musk, too, coming from the Trump side, because if he delivered this big of a loss, putting that amount of money, Trump's got to be thinking, hey, wait a minute, this guy's a loser. This guy, I can't have him, for the long run. I mean, for right now, yeah, but so I believe that it was a test on Elon Musk.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah. They're already talking about him going back to running Tesla and getting out of the Doge business.
And that coupled with the negativity of his cars, all the stuff that's been going on, not that I condone, like what's happening in Europe, putting Tesla cars, burning them up and all that, but the negativity of it all. And then from what I heard today is sales are down, I believe, 25%.
Yeah, substantially.
Well, by the way, since Trump announced his tariffs about an hour ago, the after-hours trading has dropped, 900-point drop in the Dow when I last looked at it.
You mean the businessman is bad for business?
I mean, and that includes stocks down for everybody, for Apple, for Amazon, for Tesla. Yeah. They're all taking a hit right now.
All the people that supported him. and the farmers and the, oh my goodness, what a disaster.
Yeah. So don't look at your 401ks, folks. Don't look at
for the next 10 years.
Yep.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm sorry. Now we're down 8 minutes ago, 1,000 points down.
Yeah.
Dow Jones stocks plunged.
The businessman.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Man.
And then when he said that he didn't care if the price of foreign cars goes up, he's not concerned. He doesn't care. Okay. All right, then.
Nike, Apple down 7%. Five Below, which is 15%.
Wow.
Dollar Tree 11. Gap has plunged 8.5%.
Wow.
Tesla is down 6%.
Wow.
Yep.
And it hasn't even been 100 days.
No.
What?
And that's just
disaster.
an hour after he announced tariffs.
Right.
So it's 10% tariffs on everybody coming in, and then certain tariffs depending on where it's coming from. He's also raising it by different. Yeah.
What a disaster. What a maniac. What a incompetent, inept piece of crap.
And guys, have you noticed that when he was president, the first round, when he was president, he would always point to the stock market. And he would always mention it.
That was always his barometer for success.
Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that, Dwayne.
Yeah.
And now he's saying it's no big deal, you know?
Right. Because nothing means anything to this cat. And he is an agent of the KGB working on behest of the Russian government to dismantle this country. That is what he's doing. That is his intent.
Twisted minds think alike, Dwayne.
Yeah, me and you, Ro. And I also like Mountain Dew, but I don't drink it as much. I'm trying to hold on to my feet, brother.
All right. Hey, guys, thank you for taking my call, and have a good night.
Take care.
And congratulations again. Congratulations to all Wisconsin.
That's right. Congratulations, Wisconsin. We love you. Maybe I love you probably more than a lot of other people do, but I love you a lot. Except for the Packers.
Patty is a door-knocking sister. I don't know if you heard. She's a door-knocking sister.
Give me a door. And Adam Selzer and a lot of the volunteers that came up with us, Senator Dan Katowski and Rebecca, who've been going up there with me as well. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to all the fibs that rallied behind Wisconsin. Have a great night, Roosevelt. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Have a good night.
Thank you. I'm gonna grow fibs. I got to figure out a way to keep that momentum going behind fibs. I kind of came in quieter this time. We were going up and stuff, but I'm trying to find the audio of Linda McMahon talking to one of the Fox hosts. I think it's Linda Ingram about how she doesn't know what IDEA stands for. She said I'm only 2 days on the job, and you're like, wait, which means that you means you don't deserve the job,
right?
What's this button do?
Right. I'm gonna press it a few times.
Right. You don't get hired as a captain of a plane, the pilot, and just go, I'll learn along the way.
Yeah.
I mean,
I should have this down by the time we land.
It's not great. It's not great.
No.
Dwayne. So after hour trading, a lot of stocks are down.
Wow.
Do not look at your stuff.
Okay, so Patty.
Yes.
What is the percentage of people who voted for Trump who in the next 3 months will have regretted their vote, changed their minds? What do you think?
It's hard because look, I know that the loudest ones, the dumbest ones are on my page, right?
Yeah.
And so they're all in. They're not going to move.
They're goners.
Yeah, I think that 15% will never change. 15 to 20%
Yeah,
are going
I
to be
agree.
dug in deep.
Okay.
It's part of their identity now.
Right.
It's so entrenched into their souls.
Yes. And at this point, it's for some of us like, I'm in too deep to admit now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some are just true believing cult members. I think there's that core, like if you do it like the layers of the earth,
right.
the molten core layer of true believing Trumpers.
Yeah.
Then you have an outer layer of, I'm in so deep, but I cannot back out now because then I would look extra ridiculous. But then there's There's
that
got to be a
band.
layer, yeah.
Yeah, that layer.
Yeah.
So if you figure it's 20% that are never going to come back, that they'll morph into whatever comes next.
Yes.
Right. Whether that's the new version of it, whether it's DeSantis or Vance or whoever, their next grifter is. I don't know. Right. And then I think that so then that leaves another 52% or 53% of Americans think that polling says that they like the direction this is going in, especially with immigrants. And you figure there's some Democrats who just didn't care or don't pay attention or don't follow the news. Right. So I'm terrible at math, but I would still say, let's say that there's a 35% of people who like Trump, like or love, right?
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
deep, right? Oh, I have to go. But I would say probably 5%.
Okay.
I still think it's pretty low.
Okay.
I think that band is very narrow of people who regret and wish they hadn't done that. Maybe 10% of those voters. So at any rate, let's take a break here. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation. And if you want to call, 773-763-9278. More after this.
Feeling overwhelmed, kind of like, hey, I can't remember how to relax. Well, you're not alone. Illness, accidents, sheer stress can cause everything from headaches to feeling constantly on edge. If this is you, give Michelle Bobier at Resource Wellness in Wilmette a call. Michelle is a biodynamic craniosacral therapist. She also teaches Qigong, a form of moving meditation. She helps people with post-surgical problems, concussions, migraines, insomnia, the effects of trauma, and more. Michelle helps her clients balance their nervous systems and achieve deep rest that can lead to profound change. As a PTSD survivor herself, she gets it, and she loves helping people back into balance. As one client said, Michelle has been my reset button. So if you need a reset, call Michelle at 773-991-4357 or check her website, resourcewellnessllc.com. 773-991-4357, resourcewellnessllc.com.
April 6th at Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Rewards members get $5 off an acai bowl or an acai bowl with Nutella. Log into the app on April 6th to redeem your rewards. Terms and conditions apply.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. President Trump's laid out sweeping new tariffs on dozens of nations. Sagar Magani reports it could upend much of the global economy.
The president says for too long,
our country has been looted, pillaged, raped, and plundered by nations near and far.
And now it's fighting back.
We will establish a minimum baseline tariff of 10%.
Showing a chart with import taxes ranging from 34% on China to 20% on the European Union. The numbers are higher than many economists anticipated. And while the administration says the tariffs will raise hundreds of billions in revenue a year, they also risk a sudden economic slowdown, with prices in turn rising for American consumers.
Trump's done a lot of bad things. This is way up there.
Top Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer says the tariffs will further drive down consumer confidence. Most outside analysis predicts higher inflation and slower growth as a result. Sagar Magani, Washington.
Scientists and health groups are suing the National Institutes of Health, arguing what they call an ideological purge of research funding is illegal and threatens medical cures. A federal judge has dismissed the corruption case against New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Julie Walker has details.
President Trump's Justice Department had made the request. However, the order is with prejudice, so the case can't be brought back, which was something the Trump team had been holding in reserve. Adams says he's grateful it's over.
And I did nothing wrong.
But Judge Dale Ho said in his ruling, everything here smacks of a bargain. Dismissal of the indictment in exchange for immigration policy concerns. And he found it disturbing that public officials might get special treatment from prosecutors by complying with policy goals. Julie Walker, New York.
This is AP News. Myanmar's ruling military has declared a temporary ceasefire in the country's civil war to allow for relief efforts after last week's 7.7 magnitude earthquake. Charles de Ledesma has details.
The statement by the military's high command was reported late Wednesday on state television MRTV, which said the truce would run until April 22 and was aimed at showing compassion for people affected by last Friday's quake. The announcement follows initiatives by armed resistance groups. The Three Brotherhood Alliance, one of the most powerful groups of militias that's taken a large swathe of the country from the military, had announced a unilateral one-month ceasefire on Tuesday to facilitate the humanitarian response. The army statement, though, specifies those groups must refrain from attacking the state or regrouping, or else the military will take necessary measures I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Myanmar state media puts the death toll at more than 3,000, more than 4,500 injured, but local reports suggest much higher. I'm Ben Thomas, AP News. Thanks for listening.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Scattered showers and thunderstorms tonight, mainly before midnight. Otherwise cloudy, a low of 47 degrees, and winds out of the southwest gusting as high as 40 miles an hour. Thursday, lots of sun and a high of 58, with west winds at 15 to 30. Friday, showers possible with a high temperature of 49. Saturday, rain likely and a high temperature of 44. Sunday, showers with highs again in the mid-40s. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 72.
When you switch to Progressive and bundle your home and auto, you could save hundreds, and that's a surprising amount of money.
Whoa, that's like farmer's market money.
That's like give me a gallon of that locally sourced raw honey money.
That's certified organic heirloom tomatoes in every imaginable color except red money.
That's let's get 2 pounds of pink oyster mushrooms money. I'm not even sure I like pink oyster mushrooms.
Guess it's time to find out, because you could save hundreds when you switch to Progressive and bundle. Then the world is your pink oyster mushroom. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Kids across America are going to school hungry. Millions of kids every day. But one simple thing can help change all of this for a hungry child in America. Good, healthy food and the energy it brings. With help from caring people across America, No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. To learn more about ending child hunger in America, go to helpnokidhungry.org today.
Chicago's progressive talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. Hello to our friends listening in Seattle on KKNW 1150 AM, the alternative talk, and our friends at KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, as we broadcast here on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. And you can find us on for free on a TuneIn app if the sound starts to go a little bit for you. You can watch the live stream on Facebook and YouTube, where you will see the one and only Emmy Award-winning comedian Dwayne Kennedy in studio with me. Hello.
Hey, Patty.
Hi. We are still celebrating the incredible defeat of Elon Musk. And the fact that we're even saying that somebody who wasn't in the race was defeated is beyond surreal.
Somebody who wasn't in the race and is not even a citizen of the country.
I mean, I think he might be a citizen, but I think there's a dubiousness behind that,
okay.
I believe.
Somebody who, again, you are literally the richest person in the world, and you've made it your mission to cause harm and hardship to those who are barely hanging on. That is your mission in life, and you have all the money in the world. So you are a terrible person. You are broken. There's something damaged with you.
Yeah.
That you make that your goal.
And the people who believe him, who are like, that sounds good. Like, I remember you remember Trump Tower, and there was a big debate about whether or not he could legally have the big letters. I don't know if you saw this.
Yeah,
like back in 2000. Do you remember Tim? Did you ever work with Tim Barnes? Tim Barnes,
yes.
He moved to New York. He worked at WGN with me. We did a video. This is before Trump ran for office. And we went on the street and asked people what they thought about his big-ass name on the building, right? That was just, no other building was like that. The Chicago Tribune was like offset from the river. It was a whole debacle. And they were trying to pass, ordinance that he couldn't do that. Ultimately, it failed, whatever. We didn't want to spend the money because Trump will just take you to court.
Right.
I think is what happened. But we interviewed people, and some people hated it, but I couldn't believe the people who loved it. They like him. They think he's funny. But this is before he ran. But anyway, there's video of me yelling across the river at Trump Tower, telling it, why don't you put a toupee on it? That would be better looking, kind of a thing.
Okay.
And stuff like that. But I mean, the people who bought into that guy, that absurd example of a human being, Trump, who clearly took so much pleasure in being cruel and unkind, and
that is what it is, Patty. That has permeated the entire what used to be Republicans. He's a sadist.
Yes.
He's a sadist, and when Lisa was on with the talking about the program, all the programs that are being dismantled and rescinded.
Yeah, for the Department of Education and their Title I and IDEA.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask her, why do you think that is happening? Why? But I think it's purely and solely to cause people misery.
Yeah, I mean, and we're to think that people
under the auspices of saving money,
right?
But it's not really that.
Exactly, and it is really to me it comes down to them seeing everybody else as first of all a means to an end, right? Yeah. We are disposable.
Yes,
we are just. That's why they want more people to have babies, but the right kind of people to have babies.
They want white folks to have babies.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and they want those people. Anybody who is not rich, anybody's not wealthy, is expendable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pull up this. You mentioned Linda McMahon. I've been trying to get this video up of her completely whiffing on a question on. Have you heard?
Like that expression.
Yeah, I haven't heard whiffing in a while.
That's a good one. Completely whiffing. She whiffed.
Oh, here. Let me see if I can get. Oh, here's the video. Let me see if this works. Let me roll this up. Push this button. And here's Laura Ingraham. This is 3 weeks ago with Linda McMahon when she took over the Department of Education, days before they started to dismantle it and eliminate the services and supports for individuals with disabilities.
Welcome to the show, because you haven't been in studio with me before. Now, is this the first step on the road to a total shutdown
of the Department of Education?
Yes. Actually, it is, because that was the president's mandate. This directive to me clearly is to shut down the Department of Education, which we know we'll have to work with Congress, to get that accomplished. But what we did today was to take the first step of eliminating what I think is bureaucratic bloat. And that's not to say that a lot of the folks, it's a humanitarian thing too. A lot of the folks that are there, they're
it's a
out of a
humanitarian
job.
thing
But
to people who are out of a job.
We wanted to make sure that we kept all of the right people and the good people to make sure that the outward-facing programs, the grants, the appropriations that come from Congress, all of that are being met. And none of that's going to fall through the cracks.
I don't even have the IDEA part there where she says that she doesn't know what IDEA stands for because it was her first day on the job. So, which also means that you probably shouldn't have that job
at all.
I think so. I kind of filled Dwayne in on some information that I got today, and I was telling Lady B that I was going to try to figure out a way to share with folks an update on my son Declan, and I think talking about the programs that he has benefited from for over 16 years. He's 19 years old now. He'll turn 20 this summer. My son is this beautiful boy.
Birthday?
His birthday is in July. At the end of July.
Okay.
Steve was like, don't tell him the date. Like, he gets worried about personal information.
Okay. If I'd have known that, I wouldn't even ask him.
He's a Leo. He's yes, like he's like me. Steve and my older son Griffin are Virgos. All of our birthdays fall within 35 days.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So isn't that wild?
Yeah, that's a big birthday.
Yeah.
Segment.
Griffin was supposed to be I think Griffin was supposed to be I don't know, he was supposed to be a Leo. He was 2 weeks late. Declan was okay. Yeah, Griffin was born. I was 42 weeks pregnant with Griffin, and they actually had to induce. But I was already in labor, which is weird. They didn't realize I just wasn't feeling the contractions yet. But I was whatever. You don't need to know the details. But they had to induce, and his delivery was 22 hours and 5 minutes. Those 5 minutes are very important. Wow. And the labor was 22 hours and 5 minutes. I pushed for over 2 hours, I think, in 15 minutes. And I often tell people that I had the epidural the first time, and the joke I did for Pregnant Party Girl. I had so much fun doing solo shows when I was pregnant. It was called Pregnant Party Girl from Stolies to Stirrups. And we were at the Lakeshore Theater, which is now the Laugh Factory. That's where I was doing my solo shows. And Steve rolled me out on a dolly because I was 8.5. It was so much fun. I was 8.5 months pregnant. I was like swearing like a sailor on stage. It was just a blast. Yeah. And then so Declan, I actually opened for Lewis Black on the day he was due, which I want to say was like August 19th. And he was born a little bit later in early September. But yeah, I opened. We had Sonia White was on backup in case I went into labor. So I opened for Lewis. There was a writer for I want to say the Sun Times. One of the comedy reviewers said that I was either really really desperate for money or really loved comedy because of how, I mean, I was huge. I was a big girl. So at any rate, Griffin's delivery was pretty smooth. And I mean, there was some concern because he aspirated some of the whatever the gross stuff is, Lady B, you know what I'm talking about. They had to like take him for monitoring. But I knew what it was like to go through a delivery, and the epidural was a little bit rough on me because I was kind of a strong girl at the time, and so you can't feel where you're pushing, so you just push. And it was a lot. It took me like, I would say 6 to 8 months to recover from it was a lot of things were very uncomfortable for a long time. So, and then when I would talk, I had a show called Mamacita Tales of a Diaper Diva after I had Griffin, and women would come up to me and kind of be really angry with me. You know that we have those people who like find something to pick a bone with, right? And it was, for me, it was women who thought, there were two groups. One who thought that I was glorifying what do you call it, circumcision. They were like, they felt that it was mutilation, that I shouldn't I shouldn't make fun of it, that I was making it sound like it was the best thing in the world and all this stuff. But I had done my own research. I'm a comic, and I'm going to take. And when you talk about your son's Peppy, it's just so. And I had jokes about that.
Yeah, of course.
Just saying. And I had jokes about what people like other. So I was writing about that whole world of the reactions to circumcision. But the other were women who felt that I was glorifying having drugs while delivering. For this, it was the epidural. And so I was like, it hurt so much. And I actually crashed. My pulse ox dropped. My blood pressure dropped on the epidural. They had to give me the adrenaline shot in order to make me pop back up. Yeah.
Pop back up to life?
Epinephrine. Is it adrenaline or is it epinephrine? Whatever the thing is, I was having a reaction to. Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I had to survive. Yes. They had to give me a shot at any rate. So I thought, well, you know what? Women will be in a hospital. If anything goes wrong, there'll be people there. So I decided not to have the epidural. And it turns out that might have been something that helped save Declan's life. Because when I was in labor, and I had to be induced, I had to be induced 2 weeks early because they detected low water. And there were certain things along the way during his pregnancy where there were concerns. I got really sick. I'll never forget this. I was at Zanies in Vernon Hills, and I was probably 15, 16 weeks pregnant. I was on stage, I headlined, and I was holding onto the mic stand the whole time. I was just like, I was feeling really uneasy.
Wow.
Oh my God. I was in that bathroom for like 45 minutes. With the velocity of what I was. Yeah, it was, I was puking, folks. I was up chucking, and I was there that long because not only was that happening, but then afterwards I wanted to make sure I cleaned because I couldn't aim. It was coming so fast. I was like on the walls, and I'm like on my hands and knees, like trying to clean all that up.
Should have brought the mic in there.
Yeah, exactly.
What's up?
So, I mean, like they were like looking for me. The staff was like trying to close the place, and I'm like, so I just want to make sure this is. Liz was very happy that I cleaned up after myself.
Oh, good. Yeah.
You know how Liz was.
Yeah.
Liz is a little scary.
Yeah.
You
Liz
better
was
clean
no
that
joke.
up. No, she was not. So so it turned out Griffin and I had something where it was food poisoning or a virus. I was really sick, and the doctors were like, "There's nothing we can do to sort of like, this is going to be what it is, right? As far as making sure Declan was safe." And then at about 23 weeks, they detected an irregular heartbeat, and one specialist told me that they felt that I should not work anymore, that I should lie on my left side the whole time. And
why your left side?
It's supposed to be better for circulation for the baby, for like all that stuff.
Okay.
Lying on your left side is supposed to be better. So, but my
Trump lies on both sides,
right? Yes. So I had four OBGYNs who felt confident that since the irregular heartbeat had resolved, that I was fine, that they didn't recommend bed rest for the rest of my pregnancy, and I went with them. So I decided they detected the low water. I'm going somewhere with this, folks, because we got an update on Declan's entire life and my last 20 years, which is so wild to me today. But they recommended that I, just pace myself, and I did, like, I was performing all the way again, I think the 37 weeks I had my last show at Zanies, and with Declan, I actually drove myself to the hospital. I was on Northwest Highway. Mom was watching Griffin. I was on Northwest Highway, and they have a lot of those loading docks there. And there was a truck like just blocking traffic forever. And I got out of the car, and I was big. I was like, "You better move, because this could blow at any minute."
Oh, that's funny.
I'm going to continue the story because it is an update on my beautiful son, Declan, and something that we learned today. And I'm so grateful for so many of the specialists who've been involved in this. And I have so many nurses and doctors to call to give them this news. Like, that's to me how big this news is for the people who've been involved in Declan's development, support, just all the people. Like, I'm still friends with the nurses who saved his life.
Oh, wow.
At the NICU at Resurrection Hospital, the special care nursery. So let's take a break here and continue when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150 AM and AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Can blowing your nose actually make your cold symptoms worse? It's an interesting question, and apparently one that people have been Googling a lot lately. So we talked to some ENTs, and they said that blowing your nose can provide temporary relief, but there are more effective ways of clearing the mucus and helping you in the long run. Saline irrigation is one way to clear congestion. The saltwater solution actually clears the nasal cavity, flushes away the mucus and the bacteria and the other irritants. Nasal decongestants, they can also help by reducing swelling in your blood vessels to open up your airways. A warm compress or steam can help loosen the mucus and let it come out naturally. If you are going to blow your nose, experts recommended blowing one nostril at a time very gently and using tissues with aloe or menthol to prevent irritation on the outside of the nose as well. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
My whole identity had been wrapped up in being a soldier. To have that so violently ripped from me when I was wounded, I was lost for a very long time. When Wounded Warrior Project came into my life, being around the other warriors, people that had similar experiences that I did, it was a game changer for me. Having King join the group, that was the beginning of a really good friendship. It's a good time.
I first heard about Wounded Warrior Project through CQ. And at first I was kind of like, I don't know if I qualify. But having been a part of it, it's kind of taught me that it's not just the wounds that you can see, but it's those that you can't.
When you do something like a peer support group with Wounded Warrior Project and come together from different walks of life, man, the growth is incredible. If not for Wounded Warrior Project, I really don't think that I'd be here today.
See how we help warriors combat stigma at woundedwarriorproject.org/combat stigma.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. I'm in studio with guest co-host Dwayne Kennedy, who will be at the Den Theater in Chicago on April 25th and at Reed's on Belmont on April 26th with Darius Kennedy as well. Hi, Dwayne.
Hey, Patty.
I've been telling you this very long story about how I
like it.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Dwayne and I have known each other for over 30 years.
Yeah.
Doing stand-up comedy. It has been a minute. Yeah. And I was talking about how my first delivery with Griffin, my son who is now 21, went pretty smoothly. Off the air, I was telling Dwayne how much I enjoyed being pregnant. Like, I felt powerful.
Wow.
It's when I started headlining, really, all the clubs was when I was pregnant. So, like, there's also that fondness for it and just kind of saying whatever I wanted and I could because I was pregnant. It was it was great. It was very freeing. I wasn't, how I think you and I have talked about where I second guess myself. And I think part of what I found out about today is involved in that. Like always having this sort of I'm guarded or like how much I want to share. Like after Declan was born, I didn't even mention him on stage. I think for 3 years, like I didn't even mention that I had 2 kids. Like I was so locked into what was happening. The trauma of Declan's very complicated delivery. Yeah. So I was telling you, I loved being pregnant. I drove myself to the hospital the day I was going to deliver Declan because they had to induce. He was going to be 2 weeks early. They just thought for safety because my water was low. And the problem with the water being low is that there's no slippage for the umbilical cord. And this is how some babies are deprived of oxygen.
Asphyxiated.
So they wanted to induce. And so that was the decision that was made. Your question about where was Steve, I called him. I said, I have to go now. I'm going home to get my bag. Okay. He came home from work. I left Griffin with my mom. Okay. And I drove myself to the hospital with my PlayStation 2 to watch to play video games and watch some. We watched National Treasure with Nicolas Cage.
What was that? He was hunted for something. What was it?
Oh, it was like the Declaration of Independence. Or I didn't have. So I decided not to have the epidural because I had been doing stand-up comedy shows where a lot of women came up to me and said that they had gone without it, and I had not. I had thought that it was for me personally. It was not a great experience to have the epidural because I nearly died. All my stats crashed. So I thought, there is a window you have to change your mind. So I had something called a new morphine. I think was it new morphine? It was. They told me when they gave it to me that it wouldn't remove the pain, but it would help me relax between the contractions, which was great. It was like I would be in this excruciating pain, just screaming, and then like pass out for 3 minutes. Wow! It was nuts. But in comparison to Griffin's delivery, where I was in labor for 22 hours, over two of which I had to push, and that was a whole different excruciating experience. With Declan, when it was finally time to push, it was only 10 minutes. And I was done. And like, oh, man. I mean, not that it was easy. There was a point where I was like, I can't. I remember seeing, one of the stations, TLC used to have women like in the labor room. Do you remember this lady B? Wasn't there a reality show where they were in the labor, like special delivery or I don't know. They had these shows where you watch a woman in labor, like delivering a baby. And you would see women go, I can't. And I'm like, well, you can't give up now. Right. You can't just stop. Right. But I remember feeling that. And then I'll never forget, they held Declan up, and I turned to Steve and I go, we make beautiful babies, and we were just like, look at him. But there was something like he was almost like a bluish green, and and I don't think they put him on my chest, because with Griffin they put him on my chest. With Declan, it was almost. And I can't remember anything. Like it all feels underwater. They must have pushed a button. There must have been some call because there was a whole team of people, and they had him in the corner of the room, and I could see somebody with like a bag where they were bagging him to pump oxygen into his lungs, and they whisked him away to the special care nursery. They said that they came in and they were like, his lungs aren't taking air. We don't know what's going on. They put him on oxygen. I delivered him like at midnight, and they rolled me in there probably around 2:00 to see him, and he was like under this like big plastic heavy hooded, like almost like a cake cover. So these are the things you think about. He looked like he was in a big Tupperware bin, but just like it was all kind of overwhelming. And then a few hours later, after I'd fallen asleep, they came in, the specialists came in, the special care nursery guys. It was Dr. Torres and I can't remember the other guy's name, and I'm not going to do the accents. I used to do the accents of these two guys because Dr. Torres reminded me of Jim Gutowski from Taxi. Okie doke. And then the other doctor had another accent that I won't do because I did it one time and I realized it was not great.
Was it Indian?
No. But at any rate, so they came in and like, so they're these like, I felt like I was being punked. Like these two guys who like their form of communication was not stellar in a situation. Like I couldn't understand either one of them. Okay. Or, sort of this frazzled, bumbling guy, and the other guy with a very heavy accent that I couldn't understand. But they were asking me questions like, was I sure that I was 38 weeks pregnant, which is full term. Mm-hmm. Was I on medications? Did I do drugs? Was I like all kinds of questions of like, what did you do? Like that's what it came in as. Like what did you do? Is how it felt very intense. There was nobody there with me. I was like, I didn't understand what was happening. But I'm telling you that part because that's something I've carried, not just in that moment, but even in like the days that followed. They were like, did you take? They wanted to know if there was anything else I might have taken. Was I sure that I was 38 weeks pregnant? It happened a few times, and even now, Steve will tell you like there will be in some sort of, at least in the first few years of like trying to understand, which is we were all trying to figure it out. His OBGYN, one of his doctors who delivered Declan, told me that in her 12 years of delivery, she had never seen a delivery go so dramatically sideways. And she has since left the practice. I don't know if it was that, but I had one nurse who came to see me at the Tribune Tower. She was like, I don't know if you remember me. I was there the day Declan was, I'll never forget his delivery. I'm still friends with the nurses who helped save his life, including Sarah and Myrna and Jody. Sarah was like, this is ridiculous. A mama needs to hold her baby. I had not held Declan, but even when by the time he was 9 days old. Oh, wow. Because he was on life support. He had jaundice, all these things. So I'm telling you all this because we have spent a very long time. I used to think that there was something wrong with me genetically. If there was something wrong with like my blood type, I'm A negative. Steve is different. I'm not supposed to say his blood type because he's like, did you stop giving all that information? I'm Rh negative, which means that if I mate, I guess is the best way to say it, have a baby with somebody with a different blood type, my body will attack that embryo or that fetus because it sees it as a tumor, as a foreign body that needs to be attacked. So we found that out because I was in a car accident with Griffin, and they tested my blood and found that. They gave me a booster shot, which is typical. They would have given it to me eventually, but they gave it to me earlier in the pregnancy than they did with Declan. Right. So so they had to give it to me during the pregnancy, at the end of my pregnancy with Griffin, and then at the beginning of my during the pregnancy with Declan. But it was later. So for a long time I thought, did we give him the shot? Did I get the shot too late? Did my body start to attack him? So I'm telling you all these things because we never really had answers. He had a neurological disorder called agenesis of the corpus callosum. He has hypotonia. He had a lot of different secondary issues. He will never live independently. He is nonverbal. He is one of the most beautiful human beings I've ever had the pleasure of being within, just holding hands distance. I mean, he's magnificent. And today we found out, because we've had a lot of health issues with him, in particular his mobility, they decided they wanted to do genetic testing. And I have to take a break here and tell you when we come back after the news. Yes, we are. Sorry, Lady B. I have to be on time. I'll tell you what happened today because it is kind of surreal. More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, KKNW, and KTNF. Thank you. Sorry.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Scattered showers and thunderstorms tonight, mainly before midnight. Otherwise cloudy, a low of 47 degrees, and winds out of the southwest gusting as high as 40 miles an hour. Thursday, lots of sun and a high of 58, with west winds at 15 to 30. Friday, showers possible with a high temperature of 49. Saturday, rain likely and a high temperature of 44. Sunday, showers with highs again in the mid-40s. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 72.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Are you looking for more in this world? Are you ready for something bigger? Then we are looking for you. The big-hearted, the bold, the messy and the gutsy. The teachers, the growers, the builders. The skilled, the sharers, the change makers. We need you. We are the Peace Corps. In more than 60 countries, we go all in and all out. We are volunteers, partners, communities, working together, living together, bringing our experience, passion, and joy to building a better world together. From tackling climate change in Mexico to keeping kids healthy in Kenya, from sustainable farming in the Philippines to education in Kosovo. We learn more, give more, share freely, and serve boldly. Are you ready to tackle the tough stuff? To go the distance to make a difference? Then we have a place where you belong. Join us at peacecorps.gov.
As a veteran, you get a lot of advice, but wisdom's harder to come by. A lot of people imagine themselves in our shoes without understanding the weight on our shoulders. The truth is, few can understand the pressure of finding your own way after serving in the military. But few isn't none. Steady yourself. You're not alone. You've got support. Learn more at maketheconnection.net.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
This does feel a little dramatic because Lady B nearly broke her chair when I said I would come back and explain to you my family's update. I have a beautiful son named Declan who will turn 20 this summer, and he has several challenging elements to his life. He was born with a part of his brain missing. These are things that we've learned along the way. Like his lungs weren't fully developed. That was why he wasn't able to breathe on his own when he was born. He spent 28 days in the special care nursery, first on life support and then on oxygen, and had a feeding tube. Comedian Dwayne Kennedy joins me in the studio. I feel bad because I feel like people who've known me for a long time and then learn these parts of my life are like, man, whatever Patti needs to do. I know everyone thinks she's crazy, but I think she's good crazy.
She's earned it.
I had somebody on. Ken Mejia Beal said that it's one thing to hear stories about somebody, like everyone talking about me being crazy, and then to talk to me like, no, she's not crazy.
No. There's a lot happening, man.
There's a lot happening. And one of those things that has been, I think, one of the most challenging elements of my life has not only been Declan's medical vulnerabilities, but fighting for him. And that was why I started getting involved politically, was learning on the inside. And I hate that it has to come to that. I hate that it has to be people who experience it themselves, but it's the way it happens. I know.
Yeah, that's just human nature.
But when I had services that I knew were helping him, and then other parents were they couldn't understand why they didn't have access to it, that's when I started going to Springfield. And we are still one of the worst states in the country when it comes to supporting individuals with disabilities. So I just
Illinois keeping it bad.
Just want to say that, but that was what I tried to run for. That's why I ran for office. So, but we have, there were times early on, and I know Lady B feels this, and I know a lot of parents like me think, was there something I missed? Was there something if I had done this differently? If first of all, if I had taken better care of myself during the pregnancy, did I shake too many hands? Did I do too many shows? Did I pick up a box that was too heavy? Did I eat too many grilled stuffed burritos because I was addicted to Taco Bell at the time?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I couldn't get enough. Okay. I mean, that was good stuff.
Oh, man. So maybe I'm pregnant.
So I thought it could have been any of those things, and I over 20 years I've managed that voice as much as I could. There are times when it comes screaming back that that I messed up, that I did this to this beautiful boy, and so but I've been able to manage that voice for a very long time, and things come up along the way where people imply that it's your fault, or would you have aborted him if you'd known what was wrong, or all these things. I like a lot of complicated conversations, but I will never forget one that I had. A friend of mine's father had passed away, and we were talking at the wake, and they introduced me to this woman, and God bless my friends, but they were like, oh, she's a geneticist, and they were like, Patty's son has this mysterious, diagnosis that seems pretty rare, and she said, oh, have you thought about having him tested? That way you'll know for sure whether or not it was your fault. Whether or not it was or not your fault, kind of a thing. And I was like, whoa! Wow. I had never, it felt like just like a stab to the chest, right? I was like, no one had been, she's just blunt. Some people communicate that way. She was very, very blunt. But to hear it on the outs, it's one thing to think that you had done it. Mm-hmm. That there was somehow something you could have done differently and made a different choice. And look, I know I know a lot of parents who have this. I mean, most parents wonder, and we've talked about not just moms. Right, we've talked about not just moms who think it's their fault, but I had managed that voice for a very long time, and then we have come to a point where he's starting to have other physical challenges that seem spontaneous, and they over the last 3 years go in and out of Shirley Ryan, going to Lurie's, getting different tests. They said let's do some genetic testing. A lot has changed with technology over the last 10-20 years since Declan was born. So this morning we don't know what to expect. We feel kind of bad because we were supposed to donate use our genetic testing to see if we were carriers or whatever was going to be determined, and we hadn't really gotten around to swapping our our cheeks yet, so we just had Declan's test ready to go. And she comes on, and she was really quick. This woman she was great, and I don't remember her name, but she went on to explain. She was talking about like when the sperm, and we were going all the way back to the beginning. We were going to the sperm and the egg, and they start to create this code for what the living force is going to be. And she said there's a code, and it pretty much is it's on autopilot for everybody, right? It just this is what these two things do together, and here's the code. And apparently there was a typo in Declan's code. Just one sort of like flipped letter, as it were, and Declan has primrose genetic disorder, and he is the 53rd person on the planet to be diagnosed with primrose genetic disorder.
Wow.
This is so rare. It was only the first time it was diagnosed was in 1982,
which is not that long ago.
And it's one of these things where I was like, and like my whole, I can't imagine, right? If you were to go back and we would have learned this, they wouldn't have even been testing for this, presumably in 2005. If you had told me in 2005, like all the things that Declan has there are things that every single patient has, like pretty much hypoplasia of the corpus callosum disorder, which Declan has, profound hearing loss. When he was born, he was diagnosed with, they said he was profoundly deaf, but that's actually never been quantifiable. We know he can hear, we just don't know how he hears, and now we're learning like there's calcifications in the ear, like in the mechanism of the ear might be why. Okay. So there's all these different things. He has a lot of different markers that are pretty much the same, and then because there's only 53, so like everybody who has something different, but it's all entirely like intellectual challenges, and there's different things. But it's 53 people, Dwayne. I mean, like I knew he was special, but he's like he needs a cape.
Right.
He's amazing. And so I was gonna say is I can't imagine if I was at the beginning of this, and so I have this tone because I still don't know how to process the last 20 years of thinking there was something I should have done differently. There was nothing we could have done at all. There was just absolutely we're not carriers. This is autosomal. Autosomal. It means that we're not. It spontaneously happens.
Okay.
It just happened.
Yeah.
What? So
it affects that person in and of themselves, not due to any carryover from the parents.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's just sporadic. Sporadic, spontaneous.
Okay.
It just happened.
Yeah.
Like the autocorrect didn't work, which is so wild to me. Like I'm gonna call him 53 now.
53. Okay.
Is that a bad nickname for him? 53.
No, I'm trying to think whose number is that on the Bears.
Yeah. Well, there might be more.
T.J. Edwards.
I think that it goes underdiagnosed because I'm sure that there are kids who present like Declan who, I mean, it's been 20 years and like the number of people who even know about this disorder are so limited. It just happens to now be included in genetic screening probably in the last 10 years.
It's so rare that I guess there's no extensive testing for that.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, not specifically. It's crazy. I never in my wildest dreams. And it makes me, because we, like I said, we wondered if like maybe if we'd had more money, we could have gotten better treatments. Like maybe I missed something along the way. And having this answer doesn't solve any of that.
Right.
But it takes some of the trauma that I think I've been experiencing and sort of like, it gives me perspective. And I want to say, and I'm going to work with Lurie's on telling Declan's story and our family story about this too. I'll start working on that. I've already been working on a book called Prayers and Pills. And so, but I can't imagine starting this with the information that I just got today, 20 years in, right? Like that, to like, to look at the life ahead of you and think, how am I going to do that? Ooh. And I felt like 20 years ago, I felt like I couldn't. Like I remember thinking, and I talk about this in some of my shows when I talk to educators and health professionals. I remember thinking that I just wanted to disappear. Like not like I didn't want to hurt myself and I didn't want to run away. If I could just not do this, that would be like if I just went to sleep and then this was over, right? And I remember just wanting to disappear, like just and then Declan started crying, and he was 6 months old at the time because we already knew in those months that followed, we'd been told by his neurologist, I don't know if he'll ever walk or talk or surpass the intellectuality of a 2-year-old. Like he took away our entire, like all of our dreams. Like there was such a bluntness to it, and not like a shot across the bow of like, we need to talk about what's happening in Declan's development, whatever. But basically what they told us is that he would never, when you say you're not going to walk or talk, he's never going to play baseball. He's never going to swim. He's never going to read. He's never going to go, all the nevers started to pile up. And all of a sudden you're living in a world of never. And that's not imaginable. Like it's as unimaginable as eternity. Like if you sit and try to think about it, you will make yourself crazy. So thinking about never is absolutely impossible. You cannot function there. And so that particular night, like Steve's snoring, Griffin's asleep. I am just sitting in darkness, just trying to like hold on to my sanity. And Declan started crying, and I picked him up. He was in a bassinet next to me, and I picked him up and I sat down with him, and I went like this. I went, and I realized I wasn't breathing. I'd been holding, like I wasn't relaxing, but holding on to him. Like I felt like I could relax. I was, I could connect with him, and I'm not. I'm not necessarily religious, but I am spiritual. And I remember thinking, I can't live like this anymore. I have to stop thinking about all the things that he can't do and start loving all the things that he can do. Yeah. And that's what I come back to, is that moment. I call it a moment of grace. The universe said, you need this. Yeah. And I got a second one today of like, I've been tense for 20 years. Yeah. So that's what happened. 52.
And you're feeling better.
I'm feeling better. Yeah. I am. I'm feeling like I started laughing. Steve was like, you need to go for a walk or something.
By yourself.
Because I always, there's a part of me that also thinks that I'm judged, right? And I shouldn't care, like being a comic, I don't care if people judge me, but there are insinuations of like, what did you do? You know what I mean? And for any parent who has that, I wish you peace, because it is exhausting. Yeah. And it has to be something that you find a way to talk to about with people, because there's so many other things that happened that I never really talked to my therapist about this part even. Like I don't think I've ever told a therapist about that part. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
No, it's not crazy.
Just saying.
Yeah.
You would think that's something I should like bring up.
But you bring up what you want to bring up, what you feel like bringing up, what's comfortable for you. I mean, believe me, it's not crazy. Yeah. Everybody's holding on to something.
Well, I got to relax a little bit today.
That's good.
Yeah. See, everyone should do that. If you could just go,
Yeah. But so you're able to, in some way, to forgive yourself.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, was I never going to forgive myself?
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Or, who knows? Maybe in time, something else would have happened, or you just the way you think about things would have changed, or you accrue more information,
right. And I think that also is part of getting involved, if I can help. And we'll see if we can talk about that when we come back. We're hanging out with comedian Dwayne Kennedy. He'll be at the Count Basie Center for Performing Arts on April 18th in New Jersey, and then he'll be here in Chicago April 25th at the Den Theater, and on the 26th at Reed's with Darius Kennedy. More after this on all of our great stations in Seattle, in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and right here in Chicago.
The Hal Sparks radio program.
We wouldn't even have Tesla if it wasn't for Barack Obama. Obama insisted that there be funding for electric car companies in the rescue package in 2009. And Tesla was the single biggest beneficiary of it because they were further ahead, because Elon Musk had bought Tesla as a company outright and was pretending to run it, as he does right now.
Hal Sparks, Saturdays from 11 to 1 on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
There are 1,000 ways to say it.
Nope. Knock it off. Shut it down. Dream on. No dice. Give it a rest. Not a chance.
Or just
all text. You focus on the road.
As a passenger, you have the power to prevent an accident. There are 1,000 ways to stop a distracted driver. Choose one.
A message from CTIA.
For
many servicemen and women, the battle doesn't end when they come home. And I know, because I too struggle with the invisible wounds of service. Pups for Patriots and Sam literally changed my life. If you're a veteran or know a veteran struggling with post-traumatic stress or a traumatic brain injury, go to AmericanHumane.org to learn more about the Pups for Patriots Service Dog Program. Let's give our veterans a fighting chance.
A message from American Humane.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because feeling full can sound like this.
How did the interview go? I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
And like this.
Mom! I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/act now. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we drive it home, and thank you for those of you who were bearing with me as I walked through that very long explanation of how we found out that Declan has one of the, my son Declan, who is 20 this summer, has one of the rarest genetic disorders on the planet. Dwayne Kennedy joins me in the studio. It's weird. It's just, and I think my reaction, my energy behind it is just like, it's just so surreal. I mean, but again, I can't imagine at the beginning, and I mean, I can, because ours was unknown. Ours was just like Declan's beginning was so mysterious, and you just keep working towards doing the best you can for your kid, like anybody else,
right?
But you mentioned something off the air, which is, can I remember one woman saying how it wasn't meant to be mean. It was sort of like, it was kind of a get over yourself. You're not that powerful to have created this chaos in Declan's life. I think they were trying to and I was like, I can remember the steps along the way. Like I said, having thought I had a virus across a placenta, because I shook so many hands, or I worked too much. I had a specialist who said I should rest,
right.
And none of that would have changed a single thing.
Right.
Yeah. So let me get to Steve in Des Plaines. Hey, Steve. Let's change subjects to this wonderful story in Wisconsin. What's on your mind, my friend?
Yes, a couple things, if I may, and I'll make it quick. First off, I'm back in school studying history, which I love.
Yes.
And it's a great book about the Black experience in America. It's called Coming of Age in Mississippi. It's the story of a woman named Ann Moody growing up in the South.
Okay.
And the struggles, and it's just incredible. It's incredible. I would highly recommend it. That being said, I need to publicly acknowledge Patti Vasquez. By the way, I got my Diet Dr. Pepper right here. I'm very hydrated.
I have my water. I have my big emotional support. See how people hydrate? I love that. Have you tried the blackberry Dr. Pepper yet?
No, I will though. It sounds delicious.
Yeah, it tastes pretty good. I had it in Wisconsin, as a matter of fact, from the Quick Stop.
Yeah. Anyway, I think you need to be acknowledged. All the work you do in Wisconsin, driving up there on your weekends, or you could be doing something else with your family and your hubby. And I think you need to be acknowledged for the work you've done, because Wisconsin's victory is, I think, partly your victory.
It's all of our victories. That's very kind of you, and I am honored by your kind words, and not just that I have an affection for Wisconsin. It's also the people that I've worked with, all the volunteers. I mean, Ellen Holly and Anita, just to name two off the top. Like, and when you go, Dwayne, I know that it's like, just for like maybe we do stand up comedy there. I met the pitmaster who makes the pulled pork for all their spreads, and it's so freaking good.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. I am a dork for Wisconsin.
Well, I do too. I love Wisconsin. I go up there every week for the big air show to fly in up there north, because I'm a pilot and all that stuff. So It's really good. And real quick, I want to acknowledge Dwayne. Is it Dwayne or is it Dwayne? I'm sorry.
Dwayne.
Yeah. Along with this book that we're starting in history class, the great contribution that Black America has made to American music. It's just starting down in the Mississippi Delta and New Orleans and the gospel, and it's created the only real American music, generic to America, is Chicago blues and then, of course, rock and roll. And this comes out of the black experience from the South.
Right.
And you guys are responsible for that. Big time.
Yeah, somebody black. Yeah. Somebody black had a hat in it. Wasn't me, but yeah, I know what you mean.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you.
Real quick, one way to really to quiet a white racist, or you're come up against a racist, ask them after they spew their garbage what their favorite music is. Then take them to school. Just take them to school, and it shuts them down.
There you go. There you go. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
Care.
All right, thanks. I used to have a bit about that, actually.
About
white supremacist rock bands. Ironically, that you would be white supremacy, but you use the music black people invented.
Yep.
To so then the punchline is something I won't do on the air. But it just reminded me. Maybe I'll pull that baby out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling too when you were like, oh, because some things would come back around.
Yeah.
There's some stuff I used to do. I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
I know.
I'm like, okay. Matt in Chicago, you're on with me and Dwayne. How are you doing tonight, Matt? I mean, are you hydrating, Matt?
Well, I'm doing great. I've had so much water today, I feel like hydro.
Okay.
If you're wondering where I've been, I'm retired. I can't do politics anymore because if I keep doing politics, it's going to lead me to an early grave. So on these rare occasions when we get to talk about something other than politics, I will gladly call in and say that once again, Patti Vasquez is the reason why everybody should acknowledge her as Xena. She is a warrior princess.
Yeah.
She does everything. She's a super mom.
Yeah.
She does politics. She's a comedian. She runs on the right side of the law and of ethics and morals.
And of history.
So and history. And if you ever have a chance to vote for Patti, do so. And then there's Dwayne, who I swear may or may not be gunning for his own show on this channel, but if he is gunning for his own show,
give it to him.
He should probably have one by now, WCPT. There's a large swath of Saturday that is unclaimed. So, WCPT, give the man his own show, please.
Thanks. That's
great.
As always, Lady B for mayor, and Godspeed.
All right.
I think she'll go with deputy mayor. Deputy mayor? Does that sound good? Deputy mayor. I think so too. Let's get to
thanks, Matt.
Too much pressure. Who wants? I mean, like that's an unrelenting job to be mayor of Chicago.
Oh man.
Just say it. Paul in Seattle. Hey, Paul, you're on with me and Dwayne Kennedy. I hope you're hydrating.
Undoubtedly. Yeah. I'm going to start about to change hydration because it's going to be 5 o'clock and be hydrating with something a little more enjoyable.
There you go.
Than just water.
A little more adult.
There you go.
Yeah, well, it's all adult, man. It's all adult.
Okay.
A little less, yeah. But, I was thinking that the reason that Susan Crawford, one of the reasons that she, won with such a landslide, really, is, number one, Democrats showed up to vote. But secondly, the MAGA Republicans, they didn't. And the reason they didn't is because they know, because I'm from the Midwest, and I understand this. I'm from Michigan. And Midwesterners know this better than anybody else, that if somebody's going to show up and say, I'm going to start handing out $1 million checks, right, that Elon Musk got enough money to hand out $1 million to every MAGA Republican in Wisconsin, and he shows up and gives it to 2 people.
Yep.
And so he's a skinflint. That's what. That's why they didn't vote.
Because he's cheap. He's a cheap rich guy.
He's a cheap skinflint. You bet. He's got billions and billions, and he can only pass out. In fact, he gave $2 million. He gave more money to Donald Trump than he would have had to spend on giving, every MAGA Republican in Wisconsin to give them $1 million. But no. So he knows. They know that he's a skinflint, and they said, well, forget it.
He's a skinflint and a charlatan, and he's got a 0-inch vertical.
Yeah. 0-inch vertical. I like that one. Yeah, he can't jump. That's right.
Right.
And a guy who gets his money from, he inherited his wealth from his father's emerald mine.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry. Who gives a Diamonds, at least you can think, okay, they're good for some, but people fly inspired about emeralds. I mean, I know. I mean, people like them. They want to put them on rings, but what good do emeralds do anybody? You can't eat them.
Right.
I mean, have a good time. And so this guy gets rich on something that's just, well, first of all, he didn't do it.
Right.
And by the way, it's in South Africa where there are diamond mines and there's a lot of minerals and stuff that all labored by people of color.
Right.
It's like, yep, and yet, what kind of respect? None. No respect for. Yeah, so I don't understand this guy. He should have been arrested. You know, I think, let's see, Tony Evers, the governor, right?
Yeah.
Isn't he?
Yes, Tony Evers,
well,
yeah.
Donald Trump put on Twitter or whatever, X, that he was coming to buy votes, and then he came. And I think that Governor Evers could have told the state patrol as soon as he set foot off of the airport property, arrest him.
Yeah, I know.
Because
even a citizen's arrest wouldn't that have been fun?
Yeah.
I've got to make sure we can wrap up here, Paul. Thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. I want to make sure I get to a couple of texts. I missed one earlier, and I'm so sorry. I'm sure that they're already at the event, but there is an event called Sweet Dreams with Unique Sweets, celebrating World Autism Awareness Day, and that is at 3340 North Kedzie Avenue until 8 o'clock. So if you're in the area, stop over at Revolution Brewing. They've got a silent auction, and they've got a lot of folks doing some great work over there. It's an organization that unites autistic adults with their allies to share hopes, dreams, and a vision for a more inclusive future. For more information, go to uniquesweetsinc.org. That's uniquesweetsinc.org. Dwayne, we had a text from somebody who said some very kind words to me. I think you appreciate that, and said that Dwayne, something about his unique delivery, cadence, deep yet kind of casual voice, self-deprecation, political astuteness, quick-wittedness with puns and double entendres, yet delivered with compassion. So funny, really draws me in. You are amazing to listen to, Dwayne.
Oh, man.
I'm just saying.
Whoa.
Whoa. So there you go. So we'll end the show on the kind words to you, and we'll talk about when you can come back. I won't put you on the spot here because I know you're traveling as well. But make sure you check out Dwayne's show in Chicago on April 25th at the Den Theater, and then at the Reeds on Belmont on the 26th. We have to get going. Anything else you want to say before we go?
No, thank you, Patty. Good seeing you.
Thank you, Dwayne. Thank you for indulging me for my very long story. Oh. Have a great evening. Randy Rhodes is up next, followed by Matt McNeil. Love you, Lady B. Thank you to all our sponsors, Source Solar and the Monaco Brewing Company. And you know the rest. Bye, everybody.
Today, 1 in 5 working-age Americans has a mental health condition.
People in all types of jobs and